Today, we become legends.
Hey, my name's Inter, and welcome back to the channel for the 11.9 update notes for Smite 1. It seems like they're doing updates a little bit differently now, with Smite 2 being 24/7. They're just going to be releasing the notes today, Monday, before the patch goes live tomorrow on Tuesday, instead of doing the notes like a week before with a full patch show. And yeah, this is mostly a balanced update. To be honest, there's a few skins coming as well, though. There's Seraph's Bone, Ethan, Divine Retribution, Thanatos in a new cross-gen pass, and also Hellforge, Thor, and Guiding Light Ganesha as well. Obviously, all of these are cross-gen. And you will get them in CA2 in Smite 2 if you're interested in that. You'll get them immediately as well. You're not going to have to level up to level 50 necessarily to get Divine Retribution, Thanatos, and Smite 2. You're just going to unlock them immediately as of the CA2 update for Smite 2, which will be September 17th. But moving into balance for 11.9. So first up, Curse Weaver, they have increased the passive cooldown from 12 seconds to 15 seconds on being able to mark someone. This makes sense. This item's really good. It's been good for a long time, honestly, and they gave it a lot of buffs. Seeing a lot of play, especially on Cthulhu Solo, but on among other picks as well. So yeah, understandable to see Curse Weaver get nerfed. It may even need more than that, honestly. Our goal with this patch was to adjust statistically low win or purchase rate items from all categories, including relic, starters, and standard items. So yeah, it seems what they're doing with this patch is just taking a bunch of the stuff that's either not winning or not being picked at all, and they're just trying to buff it up a little bit. So first up with Sunder, all of these, they have adjusted the damage from 7.5% of current health to 5% of max health. So of course, on average, that is a buff to Sunder. They've also, on the max vote one, it's 10% current health to 7.5% max health. This is obviously a buff, because it's max health damage now. It will be slightly weaker if you're hitting a full health enemy, if you're using it for like that damage boost as an engager, but it will be significantly stronger if you're hitting anyone, I mean, at half health, you will be doing like 3.25% max health essentially, so anyone below like maybe 70 to 80% health, you're going to be doing more damage with Sunder to them now. Divine Barrier, they've added 5% movement speed for allies that walk through the wall to all of them, and also increased the basic attack damage buff on the level 3 of it by 5%. Yeah, no one buys Divine Barrier, so maybe people will try it now. Sovereignty, they have decreased the cost by 100 and increased the physical procs by 5. Yeah, this is fine. Sovereignty, not really picked up too often in support builds, honestly. It's generally just a little bit better stuff, so buffing that up a little bit is fine. Duality, they have decreased the cost by 150. This item, I don't know, I feel like it should be good, but it's really just kind of never found a place. It's mainly just because it's really hard to build around. You need Crusher and Heartseeker and Bluestone in your build, really, to get like the most use out of Duality. But yeah, they have brought the cost down. Transcendence, they have increased the mana by 50 and the mana per stack by 5. So this stacks 50 times, so they're going to be a total of 300 extra mana on this item, which would be 6 physical power added onto it as well, so a nice little boost of Transcendence there. Shadow Drinker, they have increased the movement speed from 7% to 10%. It doesn't change the fact that this item is kind of poorly designed and no one really wants to buy it. Mannequin Hidden Blade, they have removed the physical protection, but they have increased the power substantially, so it gets 25 more physical power and 30 more magical power, so definitely weighted towards the physical there. 70 physical power on one item is absolutely massive. I do like this item. I think it's funny, and the fact that it had physical prot was kind of weird, so just being a big 70 power bomb is probably going to be quite impactful. Maybe people will pick it up a lot more. Mail of Renewal, they have decreased the cooldown by 15 seconds and also increased both of the procs by 5. Sekhmet Scepter, they have increased the duration of the buff from 5 seconds to 6 seconds and the internal cooldown from 12 to 10. So that's, stacking on top of each other, going to be a pretty massive increase in uptime. Last Gasp, they have decreased the cost by 100. I do think this item's good. It's just very niche, so that's probably why it's such a low pick rate, and that's why they're trying to adjust it. Obsidian Shard, they're going to do 15 more power. Soul Gem, they have increased the passive scaling by 5% and the passive heal from 15 to 30, so pretty substantial buff to Soul Gem there. Sentinel's Embrace, they have increased the passive radius from 55 to 70 and the passive protections from 60 to 80, so that's pretty interesting. I feel like Sentinel's Embrace is already quite good in my opinion. Obviously, War Flag, since it got many buffs over the years, is much more competitive now, and that's probably why people aren't picking up Sentinel's Embrace in favor of like War Flag or even Heroism or Compassion. Compassion's always good, but I do feel like Sentinel's Embrace is kind of fine, so these buffs should be pretty massive in bringing it back into support builds. Moving into Gods though, Jing Chen, they have decreased the mana cost of his 3, so it's just 60 at all ranks now instead of scaling up to 80. They have increased the protection buff duration by 2 seconds and increased the time between jumps by 1 second. So you got a little bit more time to do your jumps, you get a little bit more on the protections as well, so you can keep those up for longer. And his ultimate, they have increased the damage in the early game mainly. The late game is going to be the same. This now scales down in cooldown from 90 down to 70. 70, which is kind of crazy. And then they have decreased the pre-fire time by 4%. So basically, you're going to have less time to react and jump away from this. So that's pretty impactful, dude. 70-second Jing channel in the late game, being actually kind of scary, dude. That is obviously way shorter than Beads, even without any CDR. Next up is Terra, who's getting some buffs, which is interesting. They do say here that the perception of Terra is quite strong, but she's not winning or being picked very much. I do agree with the perception thing, though. I do think Terra's already quite good, but they have decreased the cooldown of her 2. It's now scaling down to 13 instead of 15 at all ranks. For Monolith, they have increased the damage per tick by 2 at all ranks and increased the root duration, so it now scales up. Previously, 1 second at all ranks is now going to be 1, scaling up to 1.4 at max rank. Khepri, they have increased the protections he gets on Abduct while he is pulling someone. This is going to scale up more heavily into the late game now, so it's going to be the same at rank 1, but it now scales up to 50 instead of up to 30. And there's 2, they have decreased the mana cost. This was very high, 90 mana for basic ability is like kind of definitely on the upper end for basic abilities in Smite 1 nowadays. And they have also increased the duration from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. Is that just the duration of the buff and debuff, or is that the duration of the damage as well? Because I might be getting more damage as a result of that as well. But yeah, even just for the like ally buff, that is really impactful. Getting essentially a third more duration on that. Yumiya, they have decreased the mana cost of wall, so it no longer scales up to 80. It's going to be 60 at all ranks. They have increased the duration of the wall by 0.5 seconds at all ranks, and then they have also decreased the cooldown of the wall, so it now scales down to 10 seconds in the late game. So it's going to be lasting 5 and a cooldown of 10. Obviously, if you got a 40% cooldown, it's going to be a cooldown of 6. Definitely going to give you a lot more control with that. Shards of Ice, they have decreased the mana cost a little bit as well. Again, this is another one of those kind of old gods where the mana cost just goes very high as you rank those abilities up. Nike, they have increased her base health and health per level. They have increased the rotation speed of barrier formation by roughly 33%. This is probably a good change. It does feel very cumbersome to deal with that ability sometimes when you're trying to like put it in the right direction. And then Sentinel of Zeus, they have, oh god, I hate this, dude. Okay, Nike's ult now scales down to 70 seconds in the late game. That's going to be absolute cancer to play against, dude. I'm not happy about this. Gilgamesh, they have decreased the cooldown of his 1, mostly in the early game. It's still going to be 10 seconds in the late game, but he's going to have it up more often for, like, laning phase and stuff. They have also decreased the mana cost a little bit. Winds of Shamash, they have increased the damage on the wind and also decreased the cooldown from 100 to 90 seconds. AMC, they have increased the max hives from 7 at all ranks to 7, scaling up to 11. They have also increased the vision radius of the hives from 20 to 30. So you can have 11 hives active at once now on MC, dude. That's kind of crazy. Gonna be building up an absolute network of hives on the new patch. They have also increased the damage of Swarm by 10 at all ranks as well. Jubilanke, they have decreased the mana cost of bowlers ever so slightly by like 1 at all ranks. Poison darts, they have increased the max number of darts per target from 5 to 7. So, you know, if you're going to be doing this in point blank range, you're going to be getting more damage there. They have increased the poison damage scaling from 10% per tick to 15. And then they have increased the slow from 20% at all ranks. It now scales up to 30 and also decrease the cooldown. Now it's just 14 seconds at all ranks instead of 16 down to 14. So some pretty massive buffs on poison darts, dude. I think it's gonna be absolutely chunky when you hit it in melee range with the increased scaling and the increased max number of darts per target. Skadi, they have increased the damage per tick on her 3, probably not gonna be too relevant. Also decreased the mana cost of it, and they have increased the damage scaling per tick on her ultimate as well, from 5% to 10%. Izanami, they have increased the damage on Sickle Storm, the bonus damage to her auto attacks by 5 at all ranks, and increased the damage of her ultimate by 20 at all ranks. Apash is 1 second cooldown reduction, Corpse Explosion, increased damage scaling from 20 to 30 on the base amount. And then the ultimate, they have increased the damage by 10 at all ranks and 10% scaling. That's pretty massive considering how often this ability hits. You know, you're going to be getting hit by this like 4, 5, 6 times if you get stuck in it. That's going to be a massive increase to damage. And they've also added 5% damage reduction per hit, stacking up to 3 times. That's going to be pretty crazy, dude. I think Posh is going to be a lot better with those changes. Baron Samdi, they have his 2 now deals bonus damage to minions, so going to help out his clear a little bit. And his ultimate now scales down to 70 as well. Wow, dude. They're putting a lot of ultimates that are quite powerful on 70-second cooldowns in this patch. This is going to be kind of crazy. Hera, on the 1, they have increased the fist damage scaling by 10% and the cone damage scaling. No, they've increased the fist damage scaling by 10% and decreased the cone damage scaling by 5%. So overall, a little bit of a buff of 5%, but you're going to get a little bit less on the initial cone. So if you're just firing from range, trying to hit people with the fists, you're going to get a little bit more damage. And the polymorph, they have increased the projectile speed by 12% and also increased the polymorph duration, so it's much stronger in the early game. Wow, that's gonna be scary, dude. 1.6 second polymorph at rank 1 of this ability. Polymorphs are so strong, man. Yeah, not looking forward to seeing a ton more Hera on this patch, I gotta say. Raijin, they have decreased the cooldown of his 1 by 2 seconds. That's pretty big. Taiko Drums, they have increased beat 2 damage and 3 damage, so the taunts and fears now do 50% damage instead of 30%. That's also pretty big. And they have decreased the cooldown of his ult from 100 to 90, so some pretty big Raijin buffs there as well. Arachne, they have bruised Broodling damage now scales with 30% of Arachne's physical power. That's pretty impactful. And they have also decreased the cooldown from 14 at all ranks. It now scales down to 12 in the late game. And Nightcrawler, they have just given it 10% more scaling as well. So the Broodling damage, we'll have to see how that shakes out. Obviously, Arachne isn't building massively high physical power compared to like what an ability-based character would do, which is definitely going to have a decent amount, and those are going to be kind of chunking, dude. Fenrir, they have increased the full rune scaling bonus on Brutalizer by 5%, and then they have also decreased the cooldown, so Brutalizer is now 10 seconds in the late game, dude. That's pretty scary. And they have also decreased the cooldown of his ultimate by 10 seconds at all ranks as well. Mercury, they have decreased the cooldown of his 2 by 2 seconds at all ranks, increased the damage scaling per tick on his 3, and decreased the mana cost of his ultimate. Najar, they have increased the heal per stack on his 2 in the early game. In the late game, it's going to end up being the same. And then Windfire Wheels, again, goes down to 70 seconds in the late game. Man, they're doing this with a lot of ultimates. People are going to be throwing out ults like nobody's business. Kumba getting some nerfs, understandably. He kind of became, like, maybe not the best god in the game, but definitely in contention after the, like, massive round of buffs he got last patch. They have decreased the damage on Mighty Yawn, sort of as you rank up the ability. It's 5, 10, 15, 20, ranks 2 through 5, and also 5% scaling. And then they've also decreased the landing damage on his ultimate by 40 at all ranks. So not really too massive nerfs for Kumba. We'll have to see where he's at. He has been kind of dominant after the last patch. But of course, you don't want to immediately nerf him into the ground, considering how bad he was for such a long time until he got those buffs. Nuwa, they have decreased the damage on fire shards by 20 as you scale it up, none at rank 1, and then also 5% scaling, and then they have increased the cooldown from 110 to 120 seconds. This is understandable. We've been seeing a lot of Nuwa. She's very frustrating to play against, mainly because of this ability, just how free it is, so that's a good nerf. Changa, they have decreased the damage taken debuff from 4% to 3% on her passive, and also increased the cooldown of her ult by 10 seconds. Again, Changa, she became really, really good pretty recently. I guess it wasn't even that recently at this point. It's been quite a few patches. She's been kind of sticky in the meta, so some more Changa nerfs absolutely warranted. Freya getting some more nerfs as well. Obviously, when Fatalis came back, Freya decided to be the best god in the game. So they have decreased the base magical lifesteal on her passive from 10.5 to 6. So this does scale with level as well, I believe. But, you know, instead of 10.5 at level 1, it's going to be 6. That's going to be pretty important for, like, our early game boxing and lane and stuff like that. Pulse, they have decreased the bonus damage by 10 at all ranks. And Banish, they have increased the cooldown by 2 seconds at all ranks as well. So these are pretty decent nerfs. We'll have to see where Freya sits after this. Obviously, with Fatalis back, she's just a completely different character, and she just kind of breaks the game in a certain way. But this will hurt her safety, this will hurt her damage, this will hurt her survivability, so we'll see where she's at. Medusa as well, another one that's been very, very popular over the last few patches, probably does need some more nerfs. They have decreased the damage scaling on Acid Spray by 5%, and Lacerate, they have increased the cooldown by 1 second at all ranks. So nothing major for Medusa. She did receive some nerfs, like, relatively recently as well, though, and also Solita got nerfed one of her main, like, best items. But yeah, this will definitely hit her safety a little bit. Cthulhu, another one, been absolutely dominating. Curse Weaver got nerfed almost solely because of this guy. It is used on other people, but Cthulhu was the best abuser of it. They have decreased the damage on Sanity Break by 10 at all ranks, and decreased the max health gain on his ultimate by 5%. So nothing major for Cthulhu. He'll probably still be pretty good, but yeah, definitely did deserve some nerfs. Athena, another one that has just been refusing to leave the meta, man. I feel like she's been meta for like 2 years at this point, but they have increased the cooldown of her dash by 1 second. They have increased the cooldown of her shield wall, so it now scales down to 14 instead of 14 at all ranks. And then they have decreased the damage of her ultimate as well by 10 at all ranks. So nothing too major for Athena. We'll see where she's at after that. And finally, we have Bastet, also been doing very well, especially over the last like patch or two. They have decreased the damage scaling on Razor Whip by 2.5% per tick, so 10% in total. And then they have increased the cooldown of her 3 by 2 seconds at all ranks. But yeah, there you go. Just basically a balanced patch with a few skins as well. But yeah, some buffs to underperformers, some nerfs to overperformers that are dominating the meta. Just a relatively small patch that I keep you guys updated on the Smite 1 news as well as the Smite 2 news. And I will catch you guys for another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.